Hello, SAP developers. Welcome to another episode in the TechByte series of ABAP Studios. In the previous episode, Sheena showed how a new field of complex calculation can be added as virtual elements. In today's session, let's see how a CDS data model can be extended, and let's also touch upon the metadata extension. So, let's get started. Extensibility is a key capability of ERP solution. In most of the cases, standard software cannot be used as is. You might have to adapt or modify to fulfill your business requirements. And that's where extensibility plays a key role. Now, during the last decades, SAP's on-premise customers and partners have mainly used classic ABAP extensibility to extend their ERP solution. Now, classic extensibility allows ABAP developers to use and even modify all SAP objects. So, this is very powerful and flexible, but the missing separation between the SAP code and the extensions add a lot to customer-specific tests and adaptation effort during SAP upgrades. So, the goal is to move from classic custom ABAP extensions to an SAP S/4HANA extensibility model that allows customers to consume SAP innovations smoothly, thus leading to future-proof extensions that are ready for the next cloud transformation steps. So, in the public cloud, customers will not choose when the upgrade should happen, but instead, an automated software updates runs for all customers in parallel. So, therefore, classic extensibility based on classic custom ABAP development model can no longer be used. So, these are all the rules for the extension to support smooth software upgrades. So, extensions can only use released remote or local SAP APIs. Now, SAP objects can only be extended via predefined extension points. Let's quickly check the extensibility options. So, one is the key user extensibility for low-code, no-code for the key users or business experts using key user extensibility tools. Now, typical tasks like changing the user interface or adding or removing fields, renaming labels, or creating custom business objects, these can be created using key user tools. Second one is the on-stack developer extensibility using the SAP S/4HANA Cloud ABAP environment for developer extensions that are implemented in ABAP directly on the SAP S/4HANA Cloud technology stack. So, in the on-stack developer extensibility, developers use the integrated development environment, that is ABAP Development Tools, ADT for Eclipse, to create ABAP projects containing the typical ABAP artifacts such as like dictionary objects, core data services, ABAP classes, so etc. Like these ones, like the one what we have seen in the previous TechByte episode. So, developers can also debug their applications and use advanced tools for unit testing and refactoring. So, this is all part of the developer extensibility. So, type 3 extensions is running side by side to the core on SAP BTP. So, side by side extensibility for developer extensions using the development and runtime environment offered by SAP BTP. Like for ABAP, this is the SAP BTP ABAP environment. So, all these extensibility options use only SAP APIs and SAP extension points that have been released, and hence it is stable. Now, key user extensions and on-stack developer extensions have access to local public APIs released by the underlying ABAP platform or SAP S/4HANA Cloud applications. So, these APIs can be released for either key user extensibility or for developer extensibility, or it can be for both the options. But whereas side-by-side extensions, it can access SAP S/4HANA Cloud business objects through remote SAP APIs. So, in addition, these side-by-side extensions on SAP BTP ABAP environment have access to the exposed local public interfaces of the underlying ABAP platform stack. So, with these options, the next question that comes up is when to use which cloud extensibility options. So, this picture, it actually provides a decision tree to select the right extensibility option, and also the document that I'll be sharing also explains the various scenarios with examples. Now, with the launch of SAP BTP ABAP environment, SAP introduced a new ABAP Cloud development model for modern cloud-ready and upgrade-stable ABAP applications and extensions. So ABAP Cloud development means, first and foremost, just some simple rules. Only public SAP APIs and SAP extensions SAP extension points can be used. So no modification on the SAP objects are allowed. And you should only use ABAP development tools, that is ADT and Eclipse, as the ABAP development. So with this concept of extensibility, now let us check a quick demo of developer extensibility. So in the demo, we will see how to extend a CDS data model and then also how to use the metadata extensions. So with that, let's jump into the demo. In order to extend a CDS data model, you need to use the view which has been released. So to get an overview of the CDS views that has been that can be used for extension, you can create a new ABAP repository tree. So to do that, select the system, right-click, and then choose New ABAP Repository Tree. And select Released Objects. So you get a node, Released Objects. Expand the node, and you can find all the objects that can be extended in cloud development. You can also see the objects that can be used for key user extensibility. And for today's demo, I'll be using this CDS view, and this has been released for cloud extension in cloud development. So how do you check that? So for that, you can go to Properties, select API State, and you can see under which contracts the CDS view entity has been released. So C0 contract, it will allow enhancement fields to be added at specified extension options. So C1 is for system internally, which means it guarantees a stable interface, but it is used within as ABAP. Now C2 contract, it can be used as a remote API. It also is a stable interface, but it is outside of as ABAP. Now in this CDS view, let us first check what all the annotations are available in the CDS view. You can always use Control M to toggle full screen. So you can find this annotation, ABAP Catalog View Enhancement Category. So now this annotation, it specifies how a CDS view can be extended. So these are all the available values that you get. Say like projection list. So this means extensions is possible in the select list, and if you use projection list, additional CDS associations are also it's possible. So you can have additional CDS association, and extension of the select list is possible. You can specify group by along with projection list when you have some aggregate expressions. And similarly, union also can be specified together with projection list when you have a set operator like union, intersect, and so on. And if this is specified as none, that means extensions are not allowed for that particular CDS view entity. And after that, you can also see an association is defined for ZI_agency and with a projection on agency ID. And then in the select list, these are all the fields that has been exposed. Now, let us create an extension of the CDS view entity. You can choose the CDS view as a reference object, right-click, and then select data definition. So, give a name, description, and create a new transport request or choose an existing transport request. And in the next screen, you have all the available templates. So here, choose Extend View Entity and then Finish. So this is the Extend View Entity that has been created. Now let us add a field which is not exposed in the underlying CDS view. So for that, first I will add the alias, and then maybe let's see what are all the fields available. Let's choose the field status. Okay, so here let us go back to our reference view and check another annotation, which is an important one. So you can see here in this annotation ABAP catalog.extensibility, there is an element suffix ZTR, which should be added to the extension field. Okay, so this is how you specify what should be the suffix that should be added to the newly extended fields. And another important property is allow new data sources. So if allow new data sources is set to true, that means you can read the data from any data source where the original view is reading from. But if it is set to false, then you can only read the data from the data source that is listed under the data sources. So, and it can only be set to true only for the projection views. Now for this demo, I have used underscore travel and underscore agency as the data sources which can be used for extension. So underscore agency is the alias for the defined association ZI underscore agency. And in the best practice, for this type of scenario, you would create two serious view entities exposing one data source, and then accordingly you would extend. But for this demo, I'm just showing it in this way. Now we'll go to the extend view entity. So save and activate. Let's see the data preview. So you can see a new field is available, and that you can see it in the data preview. So the underlying CDSU, since it had an association, let us try to add another field from that particular association ZI underscore agency. So for that, let us call that association, and then we'll add another field, maybe city, and then give another name with a prefix, and it should always start with ZZ, and then it should always have a suffix. So again, we'll save, activate, and press F9 for data preview. You can see the two fields comes up in the data preview. You can also define an additional association, and you can expose it. So for that, let us add an association to, maybe let us pull some customer data. So let us add an additional association to ZI DMO customer. So to do that, we need to have the projection on the customer ID. So this is how I'll define it. So now the association is created. Now let's try to first expose any of the available field. So for that, probably let's check what are the fields available, and I'll take title. So we are exposing the title from the association. We can also use some string functions. So concat with space, and then I'll use first name, last name, and then give a name to this newly added field. So again, save, activate, and then let's see the data preview. So now you can see all the columns that has been added. Now click on select columns, and you can actually see the name of the fields that is coming up. So this name is coming up actually from the data element. So for the newly added field that we used with the concatenation, we can also specify a new name using the annotations. So we'll come to that part a bit later. So this is a simple demo to show how a CDS view entity can be extended. So what did we do so far? We added a field from the underlying data source from the base CDS view entity, and also added another field from that exposed association. So we created another association in the extend view entity, and exposed one field from it. So we also used the string function and used a new field and exposed it. So similarly, you can also use calculations like sum or any of the numeric functions, and for that you will have to use the group by statement. So maybe I'll show an example how you can do that. So here I just have a count on the particular customer ID. So now let us see how this particular CDS view can be extended, and let us try to do some aggregation. So for that, this is how you will be doing. And when you have aggregations, you need to specify the group by statement, and the group by should be added in the enhancement category along with the projection list. So in the extend view entity, I'll use a sum to get the total price, and it will be grouped by the currency code and the customer ID. So now you saw how to add completely new elements to the element list of a CDS view using CDS view extensions. But however, when you want to add annotations or you want to overwrite the annotation values, then creating a CDS view extension is not the right approach. So to add and or the override annotations, you have to create a CDS metadata extension. So to support this extension, the CDS view entity should be allowed, should allow the extension in this annotation. So let's go back to the CDS view, and you can check here. This is again our base CDS view, and you have the annotations, metadata allow extensions true. So that means you will be able to create metadata extensions. So for our base CDS view entity, I have already created a metadata extension in the core layer, and these are the field level annotations that is already defined. So this CDS view entity is exposed as a OData v4 service, and first let us check the preview in the Fiori app. So you can go to the service binding and then click on preview. So we can see in the Fiori app, these are the fields which comes by default because of the field level annotations that is defined in the metadata extension. Now to overwrite this metadata extension, so let's create another metadata extensions and we'll add some new annotations because we also have some new fields and we need to define some UI annotations for those new fields. So again, choose the CDS view entity and then right click and choose new metadata extension. So give a name, description, choose a transport request. In the next step, these are all the templates available. Choose annotate view. So if the CDS view entity has parameters, then you can choose annotate view with parameters. Now specify the metadata layer. That's the first step. You need to specify the layer of this metadata extension, and that depends to which layer it is going to overwrite. So I will choose customer, which will overwrite all other layers. So you can now you can also change the name of the field. So maybe I will add this extended field as a filter. So we had a field as status, right? So let me add that as a filter using this annotation UI.selection field. I will try to hide a field with UI.hiddenTrue. So we had exposed a new field where we had done a concatenation of first name and the last name. So now let us try to get that new field available by default. So we will use UI.lineItem as the annotation. So let us use that, and you need to mark the importance of the new field. So now that is done, and these are all the changes that has been done for the metadata extension. So save and then activate. To check whether the values of these annotations, you can right click on this and then open with active annotations. So you can see the changes that have been reflected here. So now let us check the preview of this. So just refresh the page and you can see the travel status has been added as a filter in the filter bar and as well as in the table. So customer ID is hidden, and then we have also renamed the total price to a different label. So in this way, you will be able to add your annotations. You can add new annotations or override annotations using metadata extensions. So this is a simple demo where we saw how to use the CDS view extensions as well as how to do the metadata extensions. So with this, I conclude today's episode of CDS extension of CDS data model and metadata extension. I will see you in another episode in another new functionality, in another interesting functionality of ABAP CDS. So until then, keep learning. Thank you.